In this video, I'm gonna show you a perfect itinerary including Lisbon and Paris, the two most visited cities by tourists in Europe. Can you do both? How close it is? I'll show you how to get there. Gabriel, I've seen that's not possible by train. Why can't you get from Lisbon to Paris by train? What are the options? How much does it cost? How many days do I stay in each city? Don't worry, this video will show you a perfect itinerary of between 5 and 12 days. You choose how many days you have so that you can organize your perfect trip to Portugal and France, guys. So don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and buckle up. So first things first, how many days to stay in Lisbon? How many days to stay in Paris? In my opinion, both cities need the same amount of days. The minimum I think is worthwhile is 4. In 4 days, you'll be able to explore the cities well. But Gabriel, I'm only going to spend 2 days there because there's something else to go somewhere else. Of course you can enjoy it. You have to go, you have to see it. You can also enjoy it in 2 days. But the ideal is for you to get to know and explore the main tourist attractions. I think 5 days in each one is ideal. 6 is still good, but 7 I think you start to lose a bit. You can get to know other places, so we're going to talk about 5 days in Lisbon, getting to know nearby cities and doing some really nice day trips. 5 days in Paris, same thing. And then you dose it up and see which are the best days for you to spend in each one, and finally put together your itinerary. If you want to include Porto, which is close to Lisbon, it takes 3 hours by train from Lisbon to Porto. It's a very easy trip. You can stay there for a day or 2. I think that's enough, but try to focus on Lisbon because there's more to do there. And before we get into the 5-day itinerary for each of these two cities, let's talk about how to get there. People's main questions: where do I go? What do I do first? My tip is to do your research. The order doesn't matter. Search for tickets to both Paris and Lisbon. Generally, Lisbon is cheaper for those in South America, which is on the other side of the map because it's more on the edge. The journey is shorter, but Paris has a huge airport and lots of flights. So every now and then, a promotion might come along. We once got to London much cheaper than Lisbon, which is up there, so it all depends. Do your research, look around, but it doesn't matter in which order. Once you've got the return ticket from one of these places, you just have to take the internal flight from Europe. You go in, you search, just like a normal national ticket. It's very cheap. There are low-cost flights, which we've seen for 60 euros. It takes 2.5 hours. It's closer than taking the train from Lisbon to Porto. The flight from Lisbon to Paris takes 2.5 hours. It's very simple, very easy, and there are a lot of options. And now let's talk about the itinerary. I'll start with Lisbon, 5 days in Lisbon, and then I'll move on to 5 days in Paris. Guys, let's go. So let's start in Lisbon, a nice itinerary. Lisbon, I think you should stay at least 5 days, that's ideal. At least 3, 4, at most 7 or 8, but I think 5 is ideal. I'll explain it to you here. I'm talking about the itinerary per day that you're going to visit. If you can only stay 3 days, you prioritize the 3 coolest days that you liked the most. If you're staying longer, you add days, but it's an average. I'm going to say more or less 5 ideal days in Portugal, Lisbon, and you decide what to do, whether to add more or not, how many days to stay. It's up to you guys, it's your style. So let's go. The first day in Lisbon, you enjoy the central part of the city, which is probably where you'll be staying. We'll give you hotel tips here so you can do everything on foot in the best center in the heart of Lisbon. So everything I'm going to talk about here on the first day is practically all on foot, right? So on the first day, you get to know the heart of Lisbon. You walk along Rua Augusta, which is one of the most important streets there. You get to Rossio Square, an iconic square that everyone likes to stand in and take pictures of. Take a look at the Tagus River nearby, one of the most important rivers in Europe. There's also a very nice bridge which you can see from above and from afar, which makes for beautiful photos. So this first day, guys, I think it's a good idea to spend more time in this area. As well as Praça do Rossio, there's also Praça do Comércio, which is a very famous square, and if you walk around these squares, you see that there are restaurants, there are lots of nice things for you to stop and see. Portugal's cuisine, guys, is incredible. It's cheap, it's one of the cheapest in Europe, so a use it, have some nice wine, which is cheap too, go for a walk, but try to keep walking around this area and look for good restaurants. And then after lunch, you can go to Lisbon's headquarters, which is very famous. It's an iconic and cultural place in the city. It's near there, and then it'll be more or less afternoon. Try to go in the afternoon, try to catch the late afternoon at São Jorge Castle. It's super beautiful, it's higher up, it's a bit of a walk to get there. There is a staircase, right? A word of warning for those who sometimes have mobility difficulties, some kind of restriction. It's a big effort up there because there are a lot of steps, there's no elevator, there's nothing, but the scenes from up there are beautiful. The sunset is beautiful, it's a great place for you to see, guys. It's really worth the view. And in the end of the day, you get something to eat. On the second day, you can visit the Chiado district, where there are lots of restaurants and bookshops. It's very nice. There's a famous cafe called A Brasileira. It's very well known. There's a statue of Fernando Pessoa, and it's very crowded. If you can't have your coffee there, you can have it in a cafe next door, which is practically the same, but you should stop just to see it. If you want to see the statue and take a worthwhile photo, make the opportunity to go to the Ribeira Market, a market that has all various cuisines, spices, products, food. It's nice to eat there too, guys. It's very typical food, very tasty, very fresh. So use it there for lunch, to wander around, and then go straight to the Alto neighborhood, which is another very famous area. You can use the Gloria elevator to go up there, which is also one of the tourist attractions. Then you can wander around, go to the São Luís de Camões Square. There's the Miradouro de Santa Catarina, which is very beautiful. There's the Church of Santa Catarina. There's Rua Duarte de Melo, which is also very nice. It's a very cool place. At night, there are restaurants. It gets a bit trendy. Stay in this area, enjoy Lisbon, and then go back. And guys, I've given you all the tips you need to plan everything, so don't worry, it's much easier. Down here in the video description, I've left a link that we've created, a page with all the links to all the websites we use to plan our trips. Below, you'll find a link to all the websites and all the tips you need to organize your trip to Portugal. And then there are hotels we've stayed in Lisbon, the hotel we stayed in the first time, I've listed it here. It's super cheap, you can do everything on foot, it's right in the heart of Lisbon, sensational. There's another one too, very good. There's also the internet chip, the travel insurance, which is mandatory for Europe. We have an insurance comparator that we found to be incredible. It finds insurance at half the price of insurance companies. There's the car rental buyer, the website to buy the trains. To get to all the regions in Europe, you have to use the train. There's no way. Only Lisbon and Porto are a long way away. There is also the ferry website, the ticket website. The ticket website, guys, has all the excursions and tours you can take at the best price of all. The service is good, and it's available in several world currencies, so you don't pay IOF. So take a look below, use it, it's got everything right. There's a global digital account now, which is the best way to take your money to Europe and all over the world. You'll save more than 10% compared to buying foreign exchange the traditional way. So take a look, everything is organized. Use the link to plan your trip. The discounts are already included automatically, so save this page, log in calmly later, do your research, check everything out, compare with other places. You see that the prices are unbeatable. You'll be able to plan everything easily, quickly, and in the cheapest way possible of all. It's really, really amazing. And on the third day in Lisbon, this third day, I think it's my favorite, guys. It was very nice, which is to go to the Belém area. I like to separate. I'm separating for you the points by region, so you don't waste time getting around, so everything I'm talking about is close by. The third day, you go to Belém. It's a bit far away. By Uber, maybe 20 minutes. We walked along the Tagus River from the center to Belém. I think it was an hour, but it was very easy and very quick, because you can walk, you can stop, have some beer, have a coffee, so it's quick. If you go to the Belém area, there's the Belém Tower, which is Lisbon's main tourist attraction. You can go in, there's a museum inside. It's not a must-see museum, but if you have time, it's cheap, you can go in or just take pictures from the outside. Nearby too, on the way, you'll find the Discovery Standard, which is a very famous and very iconic monument in Portugal. Inside, it's also a tourist attraction, but you can go in or not, and in front of the Belém Tower, more or less, there's the Jerónimos Monastery. It's a beautiful place, you guys. It's peaceful, tranquil, we love the details inside. It's worth it, and you you need to buy the ticket, but it's also easy on this ticket website I mentioned it, and which is also here in the description of the video. It sells all the tickets. Take a look, you see all the prices, and next door there is the famous Pastel de Belém, which is the most famous restaurant in theory with the famous and traditional Pastel de Belém. The Pastel de Belém, guys, is actually called Pastel de Nata in Portugal, okay? We created this story about the Pastel de Belém, but you see that they say at the time that the real and traditional pastel was called the Pastel de Nata, just like that. But there's all the tradition, and the most traditional Pastel de Belém is the one in the restaurant next to the Jerónimos, which you see there is actually called the Belém restaurant, Pastel de Belém, something like that. The fourth day in Lisbon, I'd set aside for you to go to the Oceanarium de Lisboa, which is beautiful, guys. It's a gigantic aquarium, especially for those with children. It's a very nice trip to take. Lisbon's cable car is also a very nice attraction. The view is beautiful. Take a walk, check out the last few things that remain to be seen, but I think it's a great day out. And then the fifth day of your trip, this fourth day, maybe you can replace it with one of the tours I'm going to talk about now, but leave it there first so you can see what you prefer. I'd leave the fifth day for Sintra. There are some tips from Lisbon, for example, to Sintra, which is 30 to 40 minutes away. It's a beautiful excursion. You get to see the castle of Sintra. It's a very medieval town, you know. It's very old. It's a bit different from Lisbon, and I think it's an incredible trip, well worth doing. There's also the one with Sintra, Óbidos. Take a look. There are lots of great day trips. Below in the video on the tickets and excursions website, go there. You see that there are lots, and there are the main ones. The best rated, in one day you get to know several towns. So there is the Sintra region, which has a few other towns, and there's also Cascais, which is a bit more beachy. It's a beautiful town, but I would prioritize this Sintra tour, right? I think it's sensational. It's close, it's quick, it's cheap, it's beautiful, it's worth doing. I'd put the fifth day towards one of these attractions, so in the end you choose to see which is best for you, but this is my recommendation. On the 6th and 7th days, you could also add one more day of sightseeing in Lisbon for shopping, eating, and sightseeing, or you can also go to other cities like the ones I mentioned and Fátima. For those who are Catholic, those who are Christian, there's all the religiosity. It's a very beautiful region, very iconic and very strong with the history of Our Lady of Fátima, so it's a nice city and it's close to Lisbon too. It's only an hour and a bit away. There are excursions, take a look, but you can combine Lisbon with a lot of these cities, so you can already explore a lot of Portugal on the basis of Lisbon, whether it's 3 to 7 days, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. You can make up your own itinerary, guys. You just follow once you need, see what you need and what you want to do, and then you go without a problem. You can explore a lot of cool stuff in Portugal from this Lisbon base, whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 days. You can put together your own itinerary. It's really an amazing experience, guys. Now we're off to Paris. Lisbon already has a lot to offer, so let's start our 5-day itinerary in Paris on average. Gabriel, but how many days should I stay in Paris? What's the ideal? It's difficult to say an ideal amount. I think, in my opinion, that Paris deserves at least 4 days, at least 4 full days. Ideally, I think it should be 5 or 6, but you can also make the most of fewer days. If you have fewer days, just choose directly, optimize your itinerary, and you get there. It's just an opinion to try to help you who are sometimes in doubt about how much time to dedicate to Paris and how much to dedicate to the other destinations. So let's start with Paris. The first day, regardless of how many days you're staying, I think the most important day is the Eiffel Tower. Everyone wants to see the tower, there's no way, and sometimes people put it off until another day and get overly anxious. Let me try to get up there to see it because it's so big. Sometimes you can't see it for certain areas of the city. So in my opinion, on your first day in Paris, you have to kill that anxiety and see the Eiffel Tower. One tip, the best thing is to see it in the afternoon and the evening so that you don't go to the same place 2 or 3 times. Go in the late afternoon, see what time it is, getting dark. It varies a lot according to the season, but for example, if it's getting dark at 7 o'clock, 6:30, go there at 5, stay there, observe. We'll give you lots of cool tips, and at night you can see it all lit up, which is also beautiful. For this day, your first day in Paris, I think you should take a trip along the river Seine. It's the main river there in France. It practically cuts Paris in half, and the great thing about it is it's cheap. It's super pleasant, it's super beautiful, and you can already see the city. In your head, you say, there's the Eiffel Tower, there's Notre Dame Cathedral, there's the Arc de Triomphe. You already create this map of the city of Paris in your head, and it's a very pleasant walk to do. It's super easy, super simple. Then you walk around, you go down, you're near the Eiffel Tower, and then at the Eiffel Tower, here are some important tips. You can go up to the second floor, and all the way to the top. There are several options. We've been up all of them. It's really nice, but if you're on a tight budget, you're looking to save money, I think the second floor is perfect. If you can and you want to buy the top one there, then you can buy it at the time you've been up there, the part of the tower. But the most beautiful thing about the tower, in our opinion, is that you can see it from the outside and from a distance, because sometimes people want to stand underneath and take pictures, and then the pictures don't look so good. You see those very large irons. Now if you see it from further away, it's much more beautiful. A nice tip, go to the Trocadéro, put Trocadéro on Google Maps. It's an area with a staircase, a high area in front of the tower, but right in front of it, there's the whole park in front of the tower, and it's far away. From there, you get the most beautiful pictures of all. There's even a good restaurant there, like Café de L'Homme, of house, and it has a beautiful view. I think it's nice that having dinner in the Eiffel Tower itself, try to go for brunch in the afternoon, make a reservation. It's an incredible view because the Eiffel Tower has 2 restaurants. I don't think it's worth it. We've been to the second floor and it wasn't that nice. It's more popular, let's put it that way. The second one's more chic, it was a nicer experience, but I'd much rather go to that other restaurant, which was incredible, and the view is really beautiful. To go up the Eiffel Tower, you have to buy tickets. For God's sake, the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre Museum, and almost all the other tours, you'll see queues of people who didn't buy them online. That's a fact. Just Google it, queue Louvre Museum, queue Eiffel Tower, you'll see. So buy in advance. It saves us a lot of time. We go straight and it's cheaper. Buy in advance, it's much cheaper. If you want, I'll leave a link to one of our pages below in the description of the video, which has all the links organized, where to buy the cheapest tickets, tours and excursions. In other currencies, you don't pay tax. And it's a very good giant company. The hotels we've stayed in, highly rated, cheap, good value. The travel SIM card, which one we use, which one's the best. The travel insurance that's mandatory for Europe, a comparator that finds insurance at half the price you'd find elsewhere, a global digital account so you can take your euros with you to Europe, much cheaper than using a traditional credit card. In short, there are several websites for you to organize your entire trip and save a lot of money, and this link already contains all the discounted links with promotions, so use this page. It will help you a lot to plan your trip and save a lot. You will see, compared to the other places, you will see that the prices really are very good and you will pay cheaper, and of course you can avoid all the queues for the most popular tours. Now we're off to our second day in Paris. The second day will be busier. The first day is a bit lighter, so you can enjoy the vibe of France, Paris, eat, go to a cafe, have dinner, see the tower, walk around, take some pictures. The second day is for getting to know a lot. So the second day always starts, in our opinion, with Notre Dame Cathedral. But it's closed because of the fire. See if it's open when you go. But even if it isn't, I think it's nice to go and see it from the outside. It's beautiful. The area is beautiful and you can start your tour from there. Nearby, you'll find the Pont des Arts, which is a very beautiful, iconic bridge in Paris. As you walk along, you come to another beautiful church, the Saint-Chapelle. Saint-Chapelle, I'm not sure how it sounds in French. It's not as big or as iconic as Notre Dame Cathedral, but it's very nice too. And then you'll be at the mouth of the Louvre Museum, the largest museum in the world. You will need a lot of time to get to know it. Prepare yourself, it's really gigantic. How long do I need to visit the entire Louvre Museum? Experts say it takes at least 20 days. So focus on the areas you like best. Of course, you see it more quickly, you don't have to analyze every work, but there's everything. It's an incredible museum, you have to go. And about the tickets, you need a ticket. An extra tip, the main entrance, which is in that glass pyramid, that's the most famous of all, is where people go on foot, arrive, it's very big. There's another one that's hidden away in the Louvre Carousel. Those arriving by metro can get there. It's a much emptier entrance and it will save you at least 30 minutes of travel time, and it's really amazing. I think you should go there because it's really a beautiful place. And then you leave the Louvre and stay there for 3 or 4 hours because you can't stay there for that long unless you like artwork. Then you dedicate a whole day to the Louvre, but most ordinary tourists end up spending 4 or 5 hours there. It will still be late if you've woken up early. So a good tip is to go on ahead because there's a park, some very nice gardens at the Louvre, and then you stop for a rest in the Tuileries Garden. Tuileries, I'm not sure how to pronounce it in French. This is one of the most beautiful gardens in France. You can walk around, take pictures, it's very nice. And now I'm going to give you 2 options. If you're still in the mood, because the Louvre Museum is big, it depends on how long you're staying there, you can still walk along the Champs-Élysées, which is the main avenue in Paris and has beautiful stores, popular stores like Zara, H&M for you to shop. It's the most iconic avenue in Paris. You can go straight on and you come to it after the square, this garden. You can walk there and get to know the Arc de Triomphe. You can do it at night. It's a beautiful street. It's super cool. But if you're tired, you can put it off until the next day, until the 3rd day of your trip. It's up to you, but you can do it. If you're up for it, you can keep going and do it all on the 2nd day. Of course, it's going to depend if you have the time, if you're tired, but you have many places to go, many beautiful places, so you can go straight from their garden. It's good. And on the 3rd day in Paris, I'm going to give you a slightly different tip from what everyone else gives. They give some more tourist attractions, museums that are nice in Paris, but there are 2 tours that I think you could include there. One or the other. If you're passionate about Disney, have never been to Disney and have the dream, there's Disney Paris, there's the Disneyland Park, and there's the Walt Disney Studios Park, which is really cool. I recommend Disneyland the most, which is the main one with the castle. It's 45 minutes from Paris, so if it's your dream, if you want to go, I think it's worth it. If you haven't yet come to Orlando, to the United States, or even those who have and love Disney, it's really nice, really cool. There's a subway, there's a transfer, it's super close. There's this website for tickets, it's the cheapest of all. We always buy our tickets there. Check it out, everything is ready, it's a nice ride. And if you don't like Disney, you don't want to include Disney in your itinerary, the Palace of Versailles, do the round trip to the palace there. In my opinion, it was one of the most beautiful tours in the whole of Europe. It's sensational, it's very beautiful, and it's very close by. It's an hour's drive, you get there. There's a ready-made tour with a guide and everyone explains it to you. There's also this tour on the website I told you about. We did it. They pick you up from your hotel, take you there. It's super comfortable. The place is wonderful. From the photos and videos, you can already get a sense of it. So it's really, really an amazing experience, guys. So you decide what it's better for you. If you like Disney, go to Disney. If not, go to Versailles. Now let's move on to the 4th day in Paris. If you have 4 days, you can do Disney more easily, and the museum can also be done in just 1 day. You have to do one each day because it takes up almost the whole day. I'll leave the 2 as 1 day for you to choose from, but you can try to fit them in. On the 4th day, I would go straight to the Palais Garnier, which is a beautiful place. The building from the outside, the architecture, the painting is very cool. It's there that they inspired the production of Phantom of the Opera, which has a very cool story. Buy a ticket, it's not expensive. Visit inside, it's really nice, and then you go to the Church of Madeleine, which is another unmissable tourist attraction. It's close by, it's not that difficult to get to, and the area you're going to be in is really nice. There are lots of restaurants. Get on Google Maps, do some research, see which one is closest. There are lots of nice little restaurants, and that's what Paris is all about. So stop in a cafe, try to get a table on the street, or those with a little window on the street, have some crepes. This French cuisine is delicious. You have to try the crepes, the meats are very good, and the macarons. I'll give you a tip for a macaron place, but there are plenty of nice macarons for you to eat. That's a fine sweet, you see there. It's very light, it's very good, but it's part of the trip to Paris. Don't come back without trying these 2 items, for God's sake, because this is really the essence of French cuisine. After lunch, take a break because you're going to have a good walk. It's a little further away, and there's a staircase which is nothing more and nothing less than the Sacré Couer. You see people from all over the world there, each pronouncing it in a different way. It's an incredible place, and the best thing about it is that apart from the cathedral, which is beautiful, the basilica is really beautiful. You have a stupendous view of Paris. It's a very high place, very remote, so it's very nice. It will take up some of your time in the afternoon, but I think it's very nice. It's a place worth visiting. A lot of people go there from all over the world. It's really nice to take some pictures. On the 5th day in Paris, you discover more of the city's cool cultural sites, including the Pantheon. It's an incredible place. I love its architecture, its grandeur, it's very cool. You have to visit. after it, you can go on because it's close by. It's a place with lots of works, lots of things for you to see. The Saint George Pompidou, which is a very cool place too. It's an incredible place. There are lots of works, lots of things for you to visit. It has a lot of works. It's more contemporary works. It's at the top. There's a restaurant with a very nice view. There's an outdoor area with an escalator that goes up to the top floor. There's a restaurant and a cafe next door, and there's also an area where you can stay. It's worth going up there, and if you're hungry and it's lunchtime, take the opportunity to eat there, as the restaurant is very good. We had lunch there, the food was very good, it was quick. After this tour, I'd say either go to the Luxembourg Gardens, which I think are very beautiful, but it's not that big. You get to know it in an hour's walk, but it's very beautiful, a very beautiful garden. I think you have to see it. Or you could take it out and include Galeries Lafayette directly, which would be like a shopping mall for us who are used to this type of shopping center. It's a gigantic store, which is a giant mall with 7 or 8 floors with all the brand stores you can imagine, luxury and cheap brands. So if you want to buy, you have to visit, and even if you don't want to, you have to visit it because it's an exceptional thing. The decorations, when it's Christmas, everything they put up inside. When it's other times of the year, it's sensational. I really like it there. Even for just walking around, it's a very beautiful place. There are good restaurants inside, and upstairs, I think it was on the 5th or 6th floor, there's a kiosk selling only macarons, which is the sweet I mentioned. So it's a very nice thing to go there, have some coffee, eat something, but it's a place for those who want to shop. For general shopping, the Champs-Élysées is the place to be with all the stores. Zara, a very good Zara, Mango is also very nice, and inside the Galeries Lafayette, there's also a more chic version, a very beautiful place. It's a place that's really worth visiting. And that's it, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel because that really helps us a lot. And don't forget to watch the other videos that are going to appear here, which will help you a lot to plan your trip to Paris and the whole of Europe as well. Thank you very much, guys, and have nice trips.